On today's show, we're looking at the Rangers minor league system so far 2 months into the season and answering the question that's on everybody's mind. When is Sebastian Walcott coming up? All that and more on this episode of Locked On Rangers. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Rangers, your daily Texas Rangers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are locked onto the Texas Rangers, the first and best daily Rangers podcast. I'm Bryce Patrick, a cripplingly addicted Texas Ranger fan, covering this team for 12 seasons, including all 7 as the founder and host of this podcast. Thank y'all so much for making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. If you're not already, you can follow me on Twitter at Bryce Patrick. Follow the show at Locked On Rangers. Hit subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform and on YouTube, where the best way you can help grow the show is to comment nearly any single thing below. Now, on today's show, we're talking about some bright spots in the Rangers minor league system, some less bright spots in this Rangers minor league system. We're also going to take a little bit of a look ahead at this series against the Rays and see if the Rangers can maybe keep up this offensive momentum in the major league. But before we get to all of that, this episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Now, we're into June at this point, the third day of June. And I figured it's about as good a time as any to start looking at what's been happening on the minor league system so far this year. Now, the reason I haven't talked about it as much this year, normally I'll work it in there, but especially when the Rangers are in the contention cycle, you're not focused too much on the future because the present is so darn important. But with the off day yesterday, I figured, what the heck, it's time. Also, with the Dominican Summer League starting yesterday, it is time. And, you don't want to read too much into one game, but I do want to give a shout out to Yoriel Rodriguez, who is a Rangers prospect in the Dominican Summer League, who had an incredible first professional game. The Rangers assigned him this year out of the Dominican Republic in January, giving him the biggest, I believe the biggest signing bonus that they gave out. No, the biggest signing bonus that they gave out in January. That is, they give a big signing bonus to Sun Jung Kim, the two-way player out of Korea, the shortstop / right-handed pitcher who is not playing in organized baseball right now, nor will he until I believe next season. But Yoriel Rodriguez made his professional debut, a left-handed hitting corner outfielder at 17 years old. And what a monumentous first game for him. Through one game, he has a batting average of .667, an on-base percentage of .714, a slugging percentage of 1333. Excuse me, an OPS over 2,000, because the Dominican Summer League is absolutely wild. He went 4 for 6, 3 runs scored, a double, a homer, 6 RBIs, a walk, and a strikeout, and a stolen base. That was really the entirety of the Dominican Summer League instilled in one game. Just massive ERAs, massively wild results that you don't see elsewhere in organized baseball because everybody's a teenager there, basically. And so some interesting things can happen. So shout out to Yoriel Rodriguez for a incredible first game as a professional baseball player. What a wild one to be a part of. I don't think he's going to carry an OPS north of 2,000 through the rest of this season. But hey, if he does that, I don't think he'll stay in the Dominican Summer League for long. But I want to shout out 4 big bright spots for the Rangers minor league system this year. Overall, it's not been the most encouraging year on the farm. A lot of it feels like there's focus on guys who aren't here versus the guys who are here. And I want to shout out the guys who are here and who are putting up great results. And I want to start with, of course, the Rangers' top prospect, one of the top prospects in all of baseball, Sebastian Walcott. Need I remind you, he is just 19 years old and he's in Double-A. That is an incredible feat. That alone is an incredible feat. And also his performance has been pretty darn good. Right now, he's got an OPS of .790 at this point in the season, 8 home runs through 47 games, just north of 200 plate appearances. His on-base percentage is over .340. He's just a little bit under .250 with his batting average. Slugging is literally 1 point below .450. Overall, a really good season so far for the 19-year-old. Again, in Double-A. If this was a 162-game season, he'd be on pace for about 30 homers, 35-ish stolen bases, maybe closer to 40. He's got 11 steals so far this season and 8 home runs, as well as 13 doubles. He didn't hit as many home runs, more on base focused, more of an on-base performance in the first month of the season. In April, he had a 376 on-base percentage, but slugged under 400. Those things kind of reversed themselves. The batting average was a little bit better in May. The on-base percentage was significantly worse at 306, but he was slugging like crazy. Only 2 homers in April and 6 homers in the month of May. He has looked very darn good. The on-base has been better than I expected. He does have a little bit of strikeouts, not a crazy amount by any means, especially not for a guy who has played basically 200 minor league games so far as a professional. Yeah, 216. He has fewer than 1,000 career plate appearances as a minor leaguer. And again, he played a lot as a 17-year-old and as an 18-year-old, making it all the way up to AA Frisco at the end of last year. And so far this season, he's been good. He hasn't been on fire. He hasn't been the best player in the Texas League. He hasn't been, the most explosive player in all of minor league baseball. He's been a very, very good young player. And I think that losing that focus and looking a little bit at the now with the Rangers and saying, oh, well, the Rangers offense is struggling, just call up your top prospect. It doesn't really work like that, especially, since he's so young, since he is still, I know he's in AA and, geographically he's not that far away, but in terms of his abilities, he's got a long way to go. That's not to say that he isn't doing well. This is still an incredibly fast progression. And the question that I keep getting asked and people keep suggesting call up Sebastian Walcott. No. When does he get called up? I don't know. Not this year. He's not even ready to get called up to AAA yet at this point this season. I don't know if he's going to make it to AAA this season. And you know what? If he doesn't, that's fine. That's fine if he keeps putting up numbers like this, if he keeps showing improvement like this at this rate, then that is a good progression. Maybe he'll make the major leagues as a 20-year-old, which is still incredibly impressive. Maybe he'll make it at 21, which is still incredibly impressive. If he spends all of this year at AA, maybe spends a little bit of next year in AA or starts the season next year at AAA, and then ends the year in the big leagues, he'll be 20 years old when he makes his major league debut, unable to buy a beer in America, but still a major leaguer. That would be an incredible success. And the ceiling is still incredibly high. I mean, this guy has progressed a whole lot in a very, very, very short amount of time. And so I just want to refocus those expectations for Sebastian Walcott, because while he does have an incredible ceiling, eventually he might be a 40-40 guy who's hitting, 300 and playing really good shortstop defense or really good right field defense or something like that. But that's a ways away. That is quite a ways away. And it doesn't take away from how good he is right now. You know who else is really good in AA? That's right. The 2 left-handed aces of the Frisco staff, not future MLB aces, but right now they have been incredible in AA. That's Mitch Bratt and Kohl Drake. Those 2 guys have been truly sensational so far this season for the Frisco Rough Riders. Mitch Bratt's numbers are a little bit better at this point. The last start for Kohl Drake was a bit of a rough one, but still overall the numbers are very, very good for both of these guys. Mitch Bratt has a little bit less swing and miss to his game, but he's still striking out 10.4 per 9. And by the way, he's 21 years old. And Kohl Drake, who's a little bit older than him, still not old by any means. He's 24 years old. He's got a 2.97 ERA in 8 starts, 33 and a third innings, 49 strikeouts. That's under 4 walks per 9 and over 13 Ks per 9. He has been murderous on right-handed batters, a little bit less so on lefties. And for Mitch Bratt, he's got 9 starts under his belt. In 47 and 2/3 innings, he has allowed just 7 walks, just 5 homers, just 10 earned runs, and has a 1.89 ERA. Again, as a 21-year-old in AA, which is also very, very young for this level. Both those guys have been truly outstanding so far this season. Now, Bratt and Drake, I was both kind of on the cusp last year of thinking, okay, maybe these guys will end up being major league starters. Maybe they can, make it as a 5, or maybe more of a long relief role is kind of the ideal outcome for both of them. But I've seen both of them. I saw Bratt a couple of times last year. I wasn't able to see Drake last year. This year, I've seen Drake a couple of times. I haven't seen what Bratt's been doing this year, but I saw the potential for Bratt last year. I was really, really high on him. And what they've both been doing this year has changed my mind on both of them. It's sold me that both these guys, I think, could be back-end starters for Texas Rangers team as soon as maybe not next year, but maybe, maybe, maybe not the start of next year, but maybe at the midpoint of next season, you could have two more homegrown starters. Or for Kohl Drake, I think that eventually he might be more of a weapon out of the pen. His stuff might play up a little bit more out of the pen, has a little bit more that swing and miss. Bratt, don't know how much more his stuff would play up out of the pen. I think he and Cody Bradford are kind of similar models of pitcher, and that both of them can be very high quality starting pitchers while being lefties with, stuff that's sitting in the very low 90s. For Bradford, he's even sitting a little bit lower than Bratt, has that extension, so his stuff plays up a little bit more than Mitch Bratt does. But both these guys have been absolutely exceptional so far this season, and they haven't even maybe been the biggest breakout pitcher in this Rangers system. We'll talk about him and a little bit of a look at who's not here, not playing right now, that has been really sad to not see. All that and more right after this. This show is brought to you by Supply House. Get the supplies you need from the site that's made for the skilled trades. Supply House. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical works, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400 plus top brands, you'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. And for the trade pros looking for an extra edge, their free Trade Master program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. So join the Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Shout out to the Everydayers making Locked On Raiders your first listen every single day. On tomorrow's show, I'll be back talking about this first game of the series against the Tampa Bay Rays. But let's look a little bit at a guy who I just barely had on my top 30 prospects heading into the season, who has been an absolute breakout stud for the Hub City Spartanburgers. That is 22-year-old right-handed starting pitcher David Davalillo, signed out of Ocumare del Tuy in Venezuela. I swear there is a better way to pronounce it. It's probably the correct way to pronounce it. My apologies to David Davalillo and the nice people in that city in Venezuela that I cannot pronounce to save my life. But the 22-year-old in Hub City has been absolutely obliterating hitters so far this season. He has been probably made the highest jump of anybody in this system. He's not necessarily super young for the level at 22 years old, but he's still 1.3 years younger than the average pitcher in the South Atlantic League. He's got a 1.02 ERA in 9 starts. We'd say that again, a 1.02 ERA. That's better than even Nathan Eovaldi is doing at the big league level. 44 and a third innings, 61 strikeouts, just 9 walks. He's got 1 home run he's allowed in 44 innings. 1 home run. Fewer than 5 hits per 9, fewer than 2 walks per 9. Nobody is reaching base against him, and he is striking out 12.4 batters per 9. He has been unstoppable. And I'm honestly really surprised that he is not in AA yet as we speak. Though he has been the Rangers have been a little bit cautious in terms of his pitch count. He has not exceeded 80 pitches so far on the season. Early on in the season, he was only going, 3 and a third innings for his first couple of starts. Also had an inning of 4 starts where he only threw 52 pitches. He's just really been limited in terms of those pitch counts. But, when he was able to go all the way up to, 80 pitches. He's had 2 starts where he threw exactly 80 pitches, and those were 2 of his last 3 starts. The third to last start was a 7-inning, 1 hit, 1 walk, 7 strikeout, no runs allowed performance. Then that was followed up against the Rome Emperors, 6 innings, 1 walk, 3 hits, 10 strikeouts. Of course, no runs allowed. You look at all of his starts, the most earned runs he allowed in a single start, 1. That's incredible. That is an incredible start to the season so far for David Davalillo. I am excited to see him at some point, surely, in AA Frisco. probably sooner as opposed to later. But some of the guys that I was really, really excited to see in Frisco, we have not seen. A lot of the Rangers' top 10 prospects have suffered injuries at points this season. The only one who hasn't, thank the Lord, is Sebastian Walcott. But you look at everybody in this Rangers' top 10 prospect list, the top, at least at the start of the season, pretty much everybody has had, or at least in the top 5, has had some sort of injury, starting with Alejandro Rosario, who is out all of this season, who is expected to get Tommy John surgery. I have not heard if he has actually finally gotten the Tommy John surgery. That was, 2.5 months ago that he was supposed to get it. There was something that has been preventing him from getting that surgery. I don't know exactly what it is. The Rangers have been kind of secretive about it, and I haven't heard any kind of update on that. He's going to miss all of this year, and the more this drags on, the more I'm thinking that he's going to miss all of next year too, which is incredibly frustrating because he was the Rangers' breakout pitcher last year, if not for Kumar Rocker, and also, well, Jack Leiter had himself a pretty darn good season. But Malcolm Moore, was supposed to be out 6 to 8 weeks with a broken finger on a foul tip that he caught. Really tough because he was having a great season with the Hub City Spartanburgers. I mean, 9 games. He played 25 games last year for Hickory. They had a pretty decent, pretty fine start to his career there, but the first 9 games of this season, he looked awesome. He had a .463 on base percentage, a .467 slugging percentage, a .930 OPS while hitting .267, 9 walks to 13 strikeouts, a homer, and 3 doubles in just 9 games. That's a pretty good output, and he was making significant strides as a catcher. He has always been an offense-first catcher, the Rangers' first-round draft pick out of Stanford University last year, 30th overall, and he looked really good to start this season. And we are a little bit over 6 weeks. We're about 6.5 weeks into the 6 to 8 weeks that he was supposed to miss with that broken finger. I've heard no update there, but we're still about 9 days away from the 8-week mark, which would be the latest there. Winston Santos, I was really looking forward to seeing a little bit this year. He's had a stress reaction in his back about a month and a half ago. Maybe it was just a month ago. It's been a while, and he's going to miss multiple months. That was the same injury that Cody Bradford suffered last year that kept him out multiple months. Paul Bonzagani, who was a guy who was really up and coming on some Rangers prospects list. I didn't quite have him on mine. He has been out and on the 60-day IL with elbow inflammation. I don't know if he has gotten Tommy John surgery. I have not seen or read anything about that. So I'm thinking, no, they're just going with the Cody Bradford plan of just wait and hope it recovers on its own. Thankfully, Cody Bradford got good news last Friday that he has recovered from that elbow inflammation that he was suffering early on in the season, and he's not going to have to undergo Tommy John surgery, so we are not going to miss him for all of 2025 and 2026. That would have been a really tough blow for the Rangers. But some of the guys who I was looking at maybe, taking a step forward and helping this Rangers bullpen that has been fine, not great. Robert Garcia has been very good. Chris Martin's been very good, but I thought there'd be some more help from the farm at points in this season. And well, it's been a really rough go of it for Emiliano Teodo. He missed a couple of weeks with some soreness. He is fine now. Well, at least he's on the mound now. The results have been rough. He's striking out over 10 batters per 9 in AAA, but he's also got an ERA higher than 9 at this point in the season. It was a rough start for the season for Skyler Hill, who was a Rangers draft pick in the 4th round a couple of years ago in 2023 out of Santa Clara. They drafted him as a reliever and kind of used that money to, you don't usually draft a relief prospect that high in the draft, but they used some of that money that they saved to go ahead and sign Wyatt Langford. That seems like it is very much working out at this point in the season. The first month of the season for Skyler Hale is a guy who throws a slider and a four-seam fastball that, averages around 96, can top it up there to 100 miles an hour. He's got some really good properties on that fastball. I believe he has a changeup that he is working on, but it has not been, great to start this season because he has been crushed by left-handed batters. He's been murderous on righties, a .523 OPS against righties so far this season, but against lefties, the OPS is .979 against him. In the month of April, he had an ERA north of 8. In the month of May, he was much, much better in 9 games there. .289 ERA in that month and a 12.5 Ks per 9, significantly better. The whip was less than half of what it was. It was 1.696 in the month of April. It was 0.750 in the month of May. So looking a whole lot better there. Much better with the walks, much better with the home runs. Well, not much better, but okay with in terms of the runs allowed and just batters allowed. You look at the last 28 days for him, he has been significantly better. In those last 8 games, he has got a 588 OPS against him, a batting average below 160. He has been significantly better, a 235 ERA in that span. I think maybe at some point he could come up and help the Rangers in their pen. I don't think that's necessarily right on the cusp, but another guy who's been very, very good so far this season as a left-handed reliever, that is Larson Kendrick, I believe, an 8th round pick in the 2021 draft out of Biola University. He has split time between Frisco and Hub City. In Hub City, as a 26-year-old, still kind of old, but with relief prospects, they can really, really jump through the system pretty quickly. He has been a reliever since 2024. He started in 2023, and they kind of gave up about halfway through the season with that experiment. But this year, he did not allow a single earned run in 7 games and 12 innings in Hub City. With Frisco, he's got a 2.45 ERA in 11 innings. So combined on the season, he's got a 1.17 ERA in 23 innings, 31 strikeouts. So over 12 Ks per 9, fewer than 9 walks per 9, has just allowed, I believe, 2 home runs at this point in the season. He's been pretty effective. I don't think that he is on the verge of a call up to AAA and then to the majors, but just a guy to keep an eye on for sure, because some of the other guys who we thought might be jumping up into this pen at this point in the season, I thought Teodo might be getting some high leverage innings. That is not particularly close. He has just been a bit of a mess as of late. Maybe some time back down in AA could help him get right, but transitioning to that bullpen role, he's only been a reliever in the Arizona Fall League, but Teodo has mostly been a starter. The Rangers put him into that pen because it seemed like they had enough depth at the starting level. We'll see exactly when he makes his major league debut. If he keeps pitching like this, it probably won't be this year, but I imagine he will figure things out at some point because the strikeouts are still there. The walks have been even higher than we've seen with him as a starter, which is concerning. For sure. I thought that they would go down like they did in the Arizona Fall League. That has not been the case, but I think eventually he will figure some things out. There's a couple more guys in the lower system that I want to touch on and look ahead at this raise system. But first, let's word from our sponsors. This show is brought to you by Monarch Money. You ever check your bank account and wonder, where'd all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So you stop just managing your money and you start building wealth. When I started using Monarch, I realized how much I was spending on delivery. It was a lot of money. But now with Monarch, I can look at instead of juggling multiple apps, I can just look at Monarch to check all my finances, track spending, and even plan my long-term goals. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year. Shout out to the everydayers for making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. After every single game, check out the Locked On Rangers postcast with Jeff Biggs coming to you live right after every single game. That is in your Locked On Rangers podcast feeds, wherever you get your podcasts, and on YouTube. Now, there were a couple guys lower on in the system who are having a pretty decent start to the season. Not anything blowing you away, but a couple of guys who I just wanted to mention, including Yoriel Castillo, who was a guy who really jumped onto a lot of people's radars, making it into my top 10 prospect rankings last year as a 17-year-old. He was crushing it in the Dominican Summer League and looked pretty good in the Arizona Complex League. Not anything, too crazy, but a guy who is listed at 6'3", only 165 pounds, a shortstop / third baseman out of Venezuela. I have learned my lesson, and I am done trying to pronounce towns in Venezuela because those are very difficult for my extremely whiteness to say. But in so far this season, in 22 games in the Arizona Complex League for Yoriel Castillo, the on base still very good. The power still coming along, still does not have a professional home run in 57 games. He is still very thin, but has a lot of room to add some weight. He is not really lifting the ball, which is why his power numbers haven't been so good, but he's still impacting the baseball well. Still got a 351 on base percentage, slugging over 400 at 410. The average is up over 300 and has been over 300 at literally every stop he's been at, including the Dominican Summer League last year. 20 games there, hit 414 with a 552 on base percentage. Then in 15 games in the Arizona Complex League, he hit 333 with a 379 OBP. This year he's hitting just over 300 with a OBP over 350. So decent progression there. Still, again, very, very young. Not anybody who is just completely tearing the cover off the ball, but still, pretty solid for Brillin Morel, who has not played all that much this season. He was really, really high on some lists, jumping onto my top 30 last year. He hasn't played all that much this year, just 5 games at a 333 OPS after a 982 OPS last year in 41 games. He's in the complex league, but just has not played all that much. Yoriel Cabrera so far has played in full season ball this year. The power numbers aren't quite there. The stolen bases have been pretty solid so far. I mean, he's got 27 walks to 42 strikeouts, 15 stolen bases. The OBP is at 374 for a kid who is just 19 and playing full season ball. That is usually where most 19-year-olds are. Most 19-year-olds aren't Sebastian Walcott and in Double A, but he has been putting up solid numbers so far this season. Other guys in Frisco that I've seen that have been okay. Abimelec Ortiz has been not amazing this year. He's taken some steps forward from last year, and just in terms of the consistency so far, he's got 8 homers so far this season in 45 games, 9 doubles. The power has been there. It just hasn't been quite as consistent. The OBP is in the 340s, slugging over 430, nearly 440. He's been fine, but not fantastic. I've really liked what I've seen so far from Cam Cauley. The consistency offensively has been, not great. The on-base percentage could stand to be a little bit higher. He's still got 18 walks in 48 games so far this season. He's got 4 home runs, 3 triples, and 8 doubles. He's still stealing bases like crazy, 16 stolen bases so far this season, and playing outstanding defense. I've been impressed with him so far. The hit tool could use a little bit of improvement, but overall, I think that is a guy who is going to eventually make the majors. And while he might not be an everyday starter, I think that is a guy who is probably going to stick around on major league rosters for quite some time. But I do want to look ahead a little bit at this series against the Tampa Bay Rays, who are a confounding team. Kind of like the Texas Rangers. They are a little bit ahead of 500, where the Rangers are a little bit below 500. So far this season, the Rays are 30-29. In the last 12 games, they are 8-9-3, I believe. They had a very, very similar series against the Houston Astros that the Rangers did, blowing them out in 2 games and losing 2 very, very close games where the offense couldn't do much of anything. They had a 6-game winning streak earlier this month. They have lost 2 out of their last 3. Again, that was the series that they played against Houston. They beat Houston 13-3 in the first game. Then they lost 1-2. Then in the third game, they beat them 16-3 and lost 1-0 in the finale. It honestly is eerily similar to what the Rangers have been doing so far this season. Their pitching staff has been mostly fine. The bullpen, stop me if you've heard this before, but the Rays have a really good bullpen full of guys that you probably don't know, as well as Pete Fairbanks. They still have Mason Montgomery, who has not been as good as he was earlier on in the season. The former Texas Tech prospect, who throws 100 out of the left side, has an ERA north of 5, but everybody else has been pretty solid. Garrett Clevenger has been really solid for them. Another lefty who's been very good. Pete Fairbanks has a 2.05 ERA. Shocking that Pete Fairbanks is still very, very good. Hunter Biggie, again, a bunch of guys who you don't know and you don't know how to pronounce. Eric Orsi has been fantastic for them in 17 games, a .81 ERA. Their starting rotation has just been kind of fine. Drew Rasmussen has been very, very good. Littell has been fine. Pepio has been very good. Shane Baz has been up and down for sure. He's had some moments of brilliance and some moments where he has looked really, really not good. Taj Bradley has had kind of a similar season so far. The Rangers will see Drew Rasmussen in the first game of this series. They'll see Shane Baz the second game, and Ryan Pepio in the finale. It's Rasmussen versus Tyler Mahle. Offensively, this has been kind of a weird team as well. Junior Cabrera has been their home run leader. He is a guy who was a top prospect in baseball. He's slugging over 500, but the on base is below 290. He's going to strike out. He's not going to walk. He's going to hit the absolute crap out of the baseball. Christopher Morel, who they traded to the Chicago Cubs, has been not great, or traded from the Chicago Cubs, has not been great. Jonathan Aranda is the other offensive name to know for sure. He has been fantastic this year with an OPS north of 900, a 3.45 hitter, hitting over 300, on base over 400, slugging over 500. They've also gotten some pretty good offense out of Josh Lowe, who is, of course, the brother of the former Ranger Nathaniel Lowe. Travis Jankowski has been on this team at points. I don't know if he is still there. Yanni Diaz has been kind of a mixed bag. And Brandon Lau has been hitting the crap out of the baseball and not getting on base. 11 home runs and a on-base percentage below 300. So their two home run leaders are either homer or nothing at this point. Should be an interesting series. The Rays are a pretty hot team. This will be the first time that the Rangers are playing in wherever it is. I actually genuinely don't know where the Yankees spring training complex is, because that's where these games will be played, at the George or at the Stein, depending on your favorite nickname for the Yankees spring training complex. But hopefully the Rangers will be continuing this offensive onslaught. The starting rotation has not been incredible for this Rays team, and hopefully the Rangers can just get to them and pile on some runs and continue this offensive momentum that they had with this series this weekend against the Cardinals, who, again, were also a good team, also on a bit of a hot streak. Maybe the Rangers can get themselves on their hot streak, because this is definitely the time they need to start making up some ground if they are going to continue this chase to win the AL West and maybe, just maybe, another World Series for Bruce Bochy. That's going to do it for today's show. Thank y'all so much for listening and subscribing. And until next time, don't forget to enjoy baseball.